Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back to another Marvel Snap video. We got another fun one today. We're going to be going over leaked or data mined cards. So if you're somebody who doesn't want to see spoilers or anything like that in the game, then obviously this video isn't for you. But if you're somebody like me who gets excited for potential cards that are going to be added in the future, then this video should be a lot of fun for us. So we've got 6 cards that we're going to go over. They've all been data mined. A lot of them will probably be the same. Some of them may not ever show up. And then some of them, when they do show up, could have different stats, different keywords, all that kind of stuff, okay? Let's go ahead and jump into the first card. Number 1 is going to be Ghost. Pretty cool. If you guys have been following other people on social media or anything like that, you've probably already heard about Ghost, but I wanted to talk about Ghost. So Ghost says ongoing. Your cards are always revealed last. Their on-reveal abilities happen last, okay? That's really, really interesting because there's a sort of, like, there are good things that can happen with that, but there are also bad things that can happen to that. To where if you have priority, you could play an on-reveal card and it wouldn't get stopped by a Cosmo. But if somebody has something like a Cosmo or anything like that, then obviously you could run into some problems there. And I don't know, it's an interesting card that I don't even know what I would build around it. So I'd love to hear y'all's thoughts on Ghost down below. I think it is a very interesting card. I don't know if it's necessarily something that I would want to play. I'm not sure how it would work. Like, as I look at it and as I think about it, there isn't an obvious thing for me, at least. But I always come back and read the comments, and you guys have come up with some crazy things. Like Dazzler Ultron wasn't something that came to my mind, but I feel like it's extremely obvious, so it should have come to my mind. But yeah, so there's lots of different really cool things that can happen with Ghost, I imagine. But I think I'll leave this one up to you guys. What do y'all think is going to work best with Ghost down below? Next. Yeah, that's right, guys. Nebula. Next. Yeah, that's right, guys. Nebula. I'm really excited to see Nebula potentially being added to the game. Nebula is going to have an on-reveal ability that says if your opponent played a card here this turn times 2 power and put this in your hand. Okay, so you play Nebula. And so it's kind of like, as I think about it, it's kind of like a different style of Deadpool in a way, where you play Nebula down and you predict. So just like all the other Guardians of the Galaxy type cards that are out there, Nebula kind of does the same thing, except this goes back to your hand. So if you can predict and guess correctly with Nebula, you could easily get Nebula. You could easily get Nebula up to a pretty good spot, and it just seems fun. Like the potential with Nebula seems really, really rad to just be like that extra card that you play, because you know a lot of times, say it's turn 4 and you only play and you have a 3 cost in your hand, a lot of times you'll end up wasting that other energy. So with Nebula, you got to guess right. If you don't guess right, then you just got a 1/1 down on the board. So there is some kind of scary potential there for things to go wrong. But I think if you're good at kind of predicting people's play styles and all that kind of stuff, you could get Nebula up to, let's see, it would go to 2, 4, and then 8. I feel like you could probably get Nebula up to 8 by the end of the game fairly easily. And then say you play like a Devil Dino and Nebula, that's not too shabby. Like literally, if you were just almost playing Nebula and guessing correctly and filling your hand up, then final turn you could play Devil Dino, Nebula, and have it be pretty stacked. So I think Nebula is pretty cool. I think there's a lot of potential there. Definitely excited to try Nebula out whenever it joins the game. Next, we've got Modoc. I believe that's how you say this. This card is nuts. Discard your hand. Insane. Discard your hand. So I think there's lots of different potential with this card, to where, let's say that you had Swarm, Wolverine, something else big, and Apocalypse in your hand, okay? You play M.o.d.o.k turn 5, Swarm doubles for you, Apocalypse obviously gets that bonus, and then the other thing goes away, and then turn 6, you could end up pulling Hela, or something along those lines. But I feel like man, like 5/8 is a good stat line. And again, if you save Wolverine and Swarm, because I normally don't play Wolverine in my discard decks, because I don't think it's that powerful of a card in general. Even though it gives you free power on the board, a lot of times it fills up places where you don't want it to. But then again, it does also have lots of upsides as well. I've just never kind of leaned towards it. And I think that I'm saying this right. Is it M.o.d.o.k or is it M.o.d.o.k? I don't really know because of the periods. You guys let me know down below. I'm sure that it has a meaning. But I kind of dig this, man. I kind of dig this. A 5/8 is a great stat line. And the fact that it could hit your Apocalypse and your Swarm and your Wolverine for you. Or, I mean, whatever else you have in your hand. Obviously, you would empty your hand out completely. So, really, you could even play... you could almost even play Strong Guy with this. It just depends on... I mean, it might be tough if you're playing Apocalypse. But you could play Strong Guy with a M.o.d.o.k in it, which would be nasty. Like, what? Have just a Strong Guy cycle deck with, say, the other Blue Marvel and Khazar and a bunch of 1-costs and whatnot. And then you play M.o.d.o.k, you discard everything, but you have some cards in there that benefit from being discarded. And then you can play them all. Dude, there's potential there, especially if you have a Bishop down and you already hit Swarm, and then you play M.o.d.o.k again, and then you play M.o.d.o.k, and then you get a whole bunch of Swarms in your hand. Then final turn, it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, and you can just stack it. Ooh, yeah. M.o.d.o.k seems like a lot. Again, if I'm saying that wrong, I apologize. M.o.d.o.k seems like a lot of fun. Like, that seems super cool. Definitely want to get that and play with that. And next, we've got Jean Grey. On reveal, the next card your opponent plays must be played here if possible. So when it says if possible, that just means that, like, the location is full, so they can't physically play there. But there's a lot of potential with this card to where, like, if you play this turn 4, if you play Jean Grey turn 4, there's a couple of options. You can almost guarantee a Professor X safely on another location. You can guarantee a Gamora hit. You could maybe even guarantee like a Shang-Chi if they're playing like a Devil Dino deck or something. But it seems pretty cool. Like, there's a lot of upside to this. You could even play Jean Grey turn 3, and then turn 4, you could play Groot and Rocket Raccoon and get some pretty good power at that location, forcing them to do that. And another cool thing with it is, like, even if the whole Wong ongoing Odin White Tiger stuff is still doing its thing, you can use Jean Grey as a control card to be like, they play Wong and they want to make it, oh my goodness, like, imagine them playing Wong turn 4, and then let's say that they just play Ironheart turn 5, and then you know they're going to play Odin final turn. Well, then you play Jean Grey on turn 5, and they literally can't play their Odin on Wong. Or if somebody plays Black Panther and you think they're going to Arnim Zola it, Jean Grey says, I'm sorry, you're going to have to play here and you're not going to be able to Arnim Zola. Wow, there's so much potential with Jean Grey as like a control card. It's almost like an arrow. It's almost like an arrow or a Polaris in the fact that it says like you're forcing a card to appear on that location. Like, obviously with arrow, it pulls everything that's played that turn. With Polaris, it pulls things that were played in the past. And then Jean Grey is kind of pulling those cards in the future, saying, hey, whatever you get next turn has to come to this location. That's super rad. I feel like for a 3/3, there's a lot of potential for Jean Grey. Probably not played on turn 3. I think played on turn 5 with like another 2 cost. So maybe you play Jean Grey and, I mean, I don't know, Lizard or something. Like, it depends on the deck that you're playing. But you play Jean Grey and then you play something else. That seems pretty cool. Like, legit, I think Jean Grey could be a really, really good control type card. Next, we've got Kitty Pryde. It says you can pull this back to your hand at any time. Think about this. Angela. You play Angela turn 2. You play Nightcrawler, Kitty Pryde, and, I don't know, Sunspot. Turn 3. You pull Kitty Pryde back. Turn 4. You could play it again turn 5 on Angela. And then you could pull it back, making more room to once again hit Angela. Like, I think the potential to... I'm trying to think of other things that benefit from that sort of action. I think Angela is probably the most obvious, and as a 1 cost, it makes sense to play something like this. It's a 1/2. You can pull this back at any time. So you could almost, I mean, you could play this on I don't know what it's called, but the location where you can only have one card, Space Throne. You can only have 1 card. You play that there to protect yourself from goblins or anything like that, and then you would just probably want to pull it back before they play a Professor X and then put something else there. Something along those lines. But I think there's actually some pretty cool potential for Kitty Pryde to kind of be used in a protection type way as well, like filling in gaps that you don't want people to throw rocks into with debris, or you don't want people to do X, Y, and Z with. You can kind of play it there, hold it there as a combo, like a holder. Say you're trying to get, I don't know, something going on with Patriot or Mystique or something, and you notice that your opponent is playing Destroy and you don't want them to do something, whatever. You can play Kitty Pryde there and pull it back. I think it seems pretty cool. I think that the one that I would probably use it the most with is just getting an Angela like stacked. And no, I do not think that Angela is bad now that it's a 2-0. I think that was a good nerf. One of the things that I noticed about the Angela nerf that I think was the best is that now you can't just play Angela on a location and be winning that location because it's 0 power. So it doesn't give you leadership or whatever. So that's Kitty Pryde. Let me know how you guys feel about her. And last, probably the most insane looking one of all of them, Lady Deathstrike. On reveal, destroy the enemy card with the highest power at this location. That's kind of wild. So here's the thing though. It seems like it's worse than Shang-Chi. But you could play Shang-Chi. Well, I mean, actually, you could play this on like Mojo World and guarantee a win because you would have 4, they would only have 3. I think that there's potential with this. I don't know how like overpowered it feels because it feels like a Shang-Chi, but like Shang-Chi would take out 2 9 costs. This, the enemy card with the highest power. I wonder if Lady Deathstrike would take out 2 9s or if it would just take out 1 9. You know what I mean? It would probably take out the one that was played first. I don't really know. It seems pretty legit though. Seems like it would be a fun kind of card to just hold close and like play final turn, and just be able to protect yourself from things. But again, feels kind of like a Shang-Chi to me, and it doesn't have much power on its own. So there's potential there to be sneaky, and you could roll Shang-Chi and Lady Deathstrike and say play Shang-Chi turn 5 or something. if you wanted to guess a Devil Dino when someone's playing Moon Girl, you're like, oh, okay, Moon Girl, cool, they're playing Double Dino. They play Dino, you try and predict it turn 5, you take it out with Shang-Chi, and then they play the other Dino, and then you play Lady Deathstrike. But obviously, you would have to have priority because it is an on-reveal card. So yeah, that is, those are the cards that we're going over today. There's a whole bunch more that I'm kind of spacing out that I'm excited to go over and look through with you guys. If y'all enjoy these videos, leave a comment down below. As always, comment down below what deck you think these will work in, because obviously I'm not the smartest when it comes to a lot of this stuff, and all of our minds think differently. So I'm excited to see what you guys might have to say. Thank you for hanging out. See you on the next one. Peace out.